Welcome to your training with HCS Interactant. HCS Interactant is your electronic health record for charting on your patients. My name is Eileen Villafontana, and I am a nurse with HCS, and I'm excited to be with you guys today because we have an electronic health record that's going to help you provide smarter, more efficient care. So the first thing you see when you sign on is you see a little box and it asks you security questions. So first time you sign on and you see this, set it up. And select 3 questions that you can memorize the answers to, select the answers, type your answers, and the benefit to doing this is if you ever forget your password, you can get it without having to call the IT department and admit that you forgot the password. Next is your message board. So the facility can communicate with you through this message board. Okay. Now this is your main screen, and in order to start with our main screen, I'm going to start at the top left corner and work my way over. So you'll notice along the side of the screen a blue navigator column. The navigator column is the key to your success. Okay, first thing you can do with your blue navigator column is see how it's got these 3 lines at the top. If you hover over the icon of the 3 lines, it says it will expand. So you can expand it. That'll bring you a Google-like search tool. So if you want to do your accountability record for charting on your patients, type accountability flow sheet, or even if you're not a great typer like me, type in ACCO, and you to your accountability flow sheet. Or if you want to do meal acceptance, type in, and you can type in meal acceptance listing. So that's one way to search for things. And that's the easiest way because it's just sitting and searching like you do Google. Another way to search is to use your buttons. So, set it in. You could go ahead and type on electronic medical record search, then type on, click on clinical documentation, and then click and say, okay, I'm going to do my accountability flow sheet. It's another way to access anything you want through Blue Navigator. First thing to see under the Blue Navigator is my name, and my day is Training to BHT. If you need to change your colors on your screen, on the little face next to your name, and it'll bring you up a quick user information and preferences, such as colors. I'm going to click there and talk about your next item, which is your favorites. Based on what you most frequently do in your role, you can set up this favorites button so that when you click on it, it's going to pop up exactly what you do most frequently. It's just a way to make your life easier. And the way to configure it is by clicking on the cogwheel. Anytime you see a cogwheel, know that you can configure. And if you can't memorize what the icon means, hover. The icon, what it does, will be revealed, and this is configure favorites. I click cogwheel, and so far, my favorites are the 24-hour report, accountability, vital signs, group notes. Let's also add a suicide precaution listing and precautions and anything else you want to add. Let's just go ahead and click it over. Once you're happy with your favorites, you save it. If you want to change the order of your favorites, click on an item and move it to the top or the bottom. If you're happy with what your favorites are going to be configured as, click on the green Save button, and every time you click on the word favorites, it's going to bring up exactly what you say your favorite buttons are. So now, anytime you want to go to your 24-hour report, favorites, and there's your 24-hour report. Quick, access what you need to get to. Okay. Let's go back to our presentation, back to this navigator bar. Anytime you want to get rid of the navigator bar, click on these arrows and collapse it. Click on the 3 lines and expand it. After you're done with your favorites, you can go all the way down your navigator, and let's talk about other options. message board, which you see when you sign on. If you don't read the message board when you sign on and you want to read it later, you can access from here. Frequently asked questions, policies, and procedures. The PAC designates session. If you are in the middle of charting something and you don't want to lose your work, but you need to leave your computer, click Padlock and lock your session. Then when you come back to your session, it will unlock you with username and your password to that exact spot in the patient chart without losing your documentation. And the button is signing off. When you sign off, it saved your data. It will warn you that you will lose data when you're off. Okay, now that we've reviewed your blue navigator column, let's talk about our work list. And the work list is your home page. It's where you're going to do the bulk of your work. It has a bunch of sort criteria, such as facility, it's got name, and any alerts. Alerts are interesting. And you can drop down the window, and if you just need to see which ones have a certain alert criteria, such as a medication due, or plan of care missing, or any of these items here, you can select on it, hit the search button to refresh the screen, show you just the patients who meet that criteria. And boy, what a good facility we are with nobody with medications due right now. Next is severity. Once again, you can sort, and then classification, such as just show me my behavioral patients. Okay. The next button for alert view allows me to see the current shift versus the previous shift. So if they just arrived, they may not be in the previous shift view. Okay. Before we talk about this sort criteria called search by, we're going to take a little pause and we're going to talk about clinical assignments. You show up at the beginning of a shift, you have to do your clinical assignment. So of course, you're doing clinical assignment on HCS Interactive. Find the group clinical assignment, can click on your electronic medical records, click on work list, click on clinical assignment. So that clicks for me. I don't like all that clicking, so instead I would have gone to the Google search and I would have typed in full or part of the word clinical assignment and then click to find it. Okay, so what you're going to do is this is going to say the patient you are caring for today. Okay, if Betty Boop's family says whoever was their behavioral health aide, their behavioral health tech for yesterday, we them again today because they were so awesome, you can click Betty's name and highlight her in blue, then click assignment history and see all the care team members who cared for Betty on any given day. Here's a list of everything, but I could actually sort by a day. Anytime you're searching a date field, if you enter the letter Y, it defaults in yesterday. If you type in the letter, it will default in today's date. Same way with times, if you put N, it'll default in now. Here's how you can view who else has cared for Betty. Okay. When your patient assignment, if you want to initialize it from a previous assignment, you can do so from here. If not, just say, okie dokie, I want Lola Bunny, I'm caring for Wonder Woman, Tinkerbell, and Donald Duck. Selected the patient you're going to care for. Bottom corner, hit your Save button, and have your clinical assignment. If next you would like to create a clinical assignment for one of your coworkers, go where your name is defaulted at Training 2 Behavioral Health Tech. Pick your colleague's name, let's say it's Behavioral Health 3, and then select the patients they will be caring for today and hit Save. So that way you can create assignments for you as for other folks. Now we've created clinical assignments, we can talk about search by right here. So work list, and then your refresh, blue search button, will allow you to see just the patients that were assigned to you based on the clinical assignment we just did. If you select account, you will be able to see all patients either in your facility, or then drill down to nursing station at the top of the screen, just the patients on a certain nursing unit. Remember, hit sort criteria, always go back and click your search button. Okay, so let's instead just look at our work list. So I put my button to work list and search. Here's patient's names, room number, date of birth, attending, nursing station, service, admit, discharge, on and on and on. If you don't like the information I have here, and let's say, well, everybody's inpatient, why do we have discharge date and time? Think of this grid the way you think of an Excel spreadsheet. You can always click on column header and either sort ascending, sort descending, or into your columns and say, you know what, I don't want to see service. I don't want discharge date and time. And now the list will display just what you want it to display. It's an ability for you to customize it. Okay. Let's open up a patient chart by on the patient's name or a little door in front of their name. And remember, you don't have to memorize what the icons mean, because when you hover on top of the icon, it gives you a tooltip little that says open account. Opening Wonder Woman's chart. And as I open Wonder Woman's chart, I'm going to take a minute to orient you to the screen. At the top of the screen is Wonder Woman's name, age, date of birth, how long in-house, and her allergies. If you need additional information, like you don't know why it's saying Abilify or penicillin, and a tooltip bubble will say those are her allergies. Wonder Woman's image, medical record number, patient information. This is called your EMR header. And great, because it gives you a picture to help you visually recognize your patient. But the header takes up a lot of space on the screen. So if you want to push it out of the way and have space on your screen, you can always click on the little carrot tops, which are next to Wonder Woman's name, and the EMR header out of the way. If at any time you want to bring it back, click, and quickly bring it back. Okay? The buttons in the middle of the screen, these are your work buttons, and this is where you're going to do all your work from, whether it's documentation, placing orders, doing HAM tasks, registration tasks. Based on your username, your role, your discipline, your authority, functions will work or not work for you. At the bottom of the screen is your patient's dashboard. And what the dashboard is it's a snapshot. It's a snapshot of Wonder Woman. And each snapshot of data is in a rectangle called the portal. So here's a portal called Medical Resources. If you're not interested, close it up, or you can move it, get rid of it. Contacts. If you're not interested, close it, move it. But information you might be interested, here are vital signs. You see her vital signs from here, date and time that each item was taken, so her blood pressure and this morning was this value. But if this isn't enough for you and you need a bigger picture to really paint a picture of what's going on with Wonder Woman, see these squiggly lines here? If you click on the squiggly lines, a vital sign graph will be built. You decide which parameters by checking and unchecking boxes you want in your vital sign graph. What time frame you want vital sign graph to represent, and then update your graph. Once you're viewing your graph, X out. In addition to vital signs, being able to graph them from the portal, you also can chart from the portal. See the pencil here? The little pencil indicates that you can click and add vital signs from the portal. We're not now because I'm going to stay on the dashboard and talking about the portals. We've got allergies, orders, medical resources. Let's keep scrolling down. And here's our 24-hour report message, which is how we communicate about Wonder Woman. If you don't like what my portal order I have it set up, you can also configure it the same way you configured your favorites over here. So go to the cogwheel. Cogwheel always means configure favorites. And so far, my selected portals are here. If you want to add a diagnosis, graphic information, select them by hovering and turning them blue, then moving them over. If you don't like the order these are in, you can always take them and drag and drop them into a different order. When you're happy with the way your portals look on your dashboard, button, and now every time you sign on, it will default this for you, not just for Wonder Woman, but for all of your patients. So that you can chart your vital signs from the pencil on your dashboard portal, but also chart vital signs or access vital signs from your clinical documentation button and on vital signs. Okay. Once again, I want a big screen, so I'm going to go up to my EMR header, I'm going to touch the carrots and push my EMR header out of the way. So vital signs, let's look at what we have. In the middle of the screen, here where I'm moving my mouse up and down, are my vital sign my vital sign data for Wonder Woman. If there's a red flag, you can hover and see it's a mistaken entry. If you need to know more data about the mistaken entry, you're going to see it in this vital sign window. Instead, you would click on it. When you click on it in the vital sign window, it moves down to the bottom of the screen to your scratchpad. And in your scratchpad, you can see that this in red is the error in charting, and this is the correct information. Another to notice is if you see a blue dot, you can hover and discover that whoever took that set of vital signs made a comment that they had a complaint of arm pain with the blood pressure cuff. If you want more information, you're not going to see it in this data window. Instead, click on it. At 126/68 will move down to your scratch pad, and you can see the specific comment, who tried it, and when. With vital signs, if you would like to sort all your vital sign data and just see your blood sugars, you click down a type and just see one element, like your blood pressures. If you would like to see for a specific time period, like maybe last week that they've started on some new medication, change your time period and hit search button. Now, check this window to just show that time period. Let's go ahead and add a vital sign. Click on the green plus button with the word add, and a window pops up. At this point, let's say 110/60, pulse 66, respiration 16, and temperature is 99. If you'd like to write a comment, you can always click on the comment button and say complaint of pain from the cuff or whatever you want to document, and you can go ahead and save it. If you document a value that's outside of normal limits, for example, I say that her temperature is 333 degrees. As that says, whoa, Eileen, 300 degrees is way beyond standard limits. So at this point I can say, wow, that's not right. Her temperature is 99. But you did want to leave it outside of standard limits, it would force you to add a comment. Go ahead and add those vital Okay, now that we've added this set of vital signs, you can see the comment field and on. Say you finishing this vital signs, finish it into the computer, and your weekly vital signs, all of a sudden you realize, wait, temperature of 99, she drank a scalding hot cup of coffee. I'm not going to retake that temperature. And you take it and it's normal. If you'd like to flag a mistaken entry, click on the specific element, temperature, blood pressure, pulse. In your window, it will bring down to the scratch pad. Then at that point, you can go to scratch pad, click on it, and mistaken entry. In this case, the reuse 90.6. You can add a comment about the hot coffee, whatever you want, and flag mistaken entry. Now the value appears. If you look on your data later and you say, what the heck did I do there? Click, and you can view what happened. Go to approach Wonder Woman, and woman says, not coming near me, you're not taking my vital signs. You can add or refuse to run able by clicking on that button, and they say, I couldn't get a blood pressure, a temp, a weight, a pulse, whatever you couldn't get, system will prompt you. She wouldn't let me near you. Okay, with all the charting we do today, all the charting you do in your career, there's always the time that the event happened and that you charted it. So let's say she wouldn't let you take her vital signs this morning at 9:30 in the morning. You actually go into the system and you say, I know you're documenting, the system is documenting what time you're actually doing the charting in the computer, but can also capture the time that the event occurred. And that's how easy it is to document vital signs. And this is a great, easy way to document vital signs. But what everybody's in the day room, and you walk around and get everyone's vital signs. You know, our facility recently, and Tuesday morning was vital sign time. It happens, you don't want to go in and out of all your patients' charts. Instead, come over your blue navigator column and say, I want a vital sign entry by work list. And you say, the entire facility, on vital sign, or just the patients that are on my work list from my clinical assignment that we did earlier, in my search, brings up a list of those patients. And you say, okay, Tinkerbell, you're on the list, but sitting in front of me is Donald Duck, so click Donald Duck, you're on the screen, and Donald Duck's vital signs. Once you're his vital sign, then next person you see is Scarlett O'Hara, click enter vital signs, and through the list. So this is a way to speedy enter your vital signs on multiple patients. Okay, now that we've talked about vital signs, let's talk a little bit more about charting. And when we talk about charting, I want you to recognize that I have multiple tabs open right now. So I'm doing my vital signs on everyone. I have Wonder Woman's chart open. I'm even going to say, oh, somebody comes in and asks me something about Betty Boop. I can answer that question with her open and then flip to Wonder Woman. So you can have multiple charts open. Be mindful. The more charts you open, the more they'll have a charting error. So I really limit how many charts I have open. Okay, so Wonder Woman, let's talk about charting a note. The thing of group notes is under the work button called Clinical Documentation. Click Documentation, down to Notes. Once you get to Notes, all notes previously written on Wonder Woman will appear in the middle of the screen. If you don't want to see the full list, you just want to see notes by a certain discipline, such as just nursing or just activities or just the other behavioral health text, you can sort and see just those notes. If you want to see the notes captured by a certain user or a type of form or a tag or a date range, you have the ability to sort by any of those parameters. Here are notes that were previously done, any of these notes you can click on and inquire. When you inquire on a note, you can see, and this is for Wonder Woman, you can see form score on her cows was a 12. When you're doing any kind of documentation like this, or you're viewing the documentation, it's good to know that cow score is 12, but better to know how quickly she's trending towards getting better, towards her recovery. So when you're doing a form, this button right here, multiple forms view, allows you to see trends. And here I can see that on the 27th, she had a cows and her score was a 12. On the 24th, and her score was 16. On the 20th, she had a cows and her score was 23. So you can view how data is trending. If it's enough to see this little snapshot and you want to see the specific thing regarded, view. And now you can see each, the 27th, the 21st, and 20th, as well as each question that's on the form and what was answered. So you can see if your patient's getting better and see the speed at which they're getting better. So then I'm not charting on this because when I signed on as a behavioral health tech, I don't have the ability to do it with cows. So based on who you are, meaning discipline authority, it's going to give you read-only or inquire-only ability to see these forms, okay? But forms you can chart on, let's go and do that. So add, and ways you can add a note. First is a free text. I'm just click Add Note, Behavioral Health Tech, and add. Is it a group note or is it a behavior note? See what kind of note is this? Tag it. It'll make it easier for your friends to understand what you're writing. Send it to someone. Now this will be part of the electronic medical record, but if you want it to go to your 24-hour report, so it is discussed during change shift. If you want it to go to the physician message, so your physician definitely sees it, or if you want it to go to both, you can tag a note to flow where it needs to go. Type away, after type away, you can check spelling, your spelling button, and save it. Since I did a bad job typing, I'm going to cancel out of this note. That's one way to just do a form note. Go ahead and add a note template, which is a much more structured note, a structured note for Wonder Woman. And in this one, I'm going to go ahead and add the note. If you had the interaction with Wonder Woman some time ago, remember you would adjust time. Go ahead and add your note. So you click in order to get your data. So yes. You can type a list applicable educational information. Anything that is grayed out is out because it's not in my authority as a behavioral health tech to document on. But say it was cognitive behavioral, responses to intervention, and once you're almost done, you might check missing required fields. It won't save any form if there's required fields that are missing. So at this point, we're in good shape, and let's just say the focus of the group is stress, management, and boy, I don't know. Let's go and save it. That's important. So now you've written this note. If there's anything that is triggered, such as anybody on the team has documented anything that should set off a protocol, it will stop. And in this case, there was a note triggered by, let's see who it was by, I could scroll over, by a nurse, and she said the patient was experiencing violence and self-destructive behaviors, and that way it triggers more documentation. Okay, I'll close out of that, and let's talk about the note we just wrote. The note we just wrote is this group note. If you realize that you need to add data to it, go ahead and update your note. When you update the note, if you get an answer from yes to no, or waves the note, and save it, it corrects the note to the updated information. Fine trigger, it's worried about this patient's safety. It corrects that information, that yes that became a no because you updated the note. So if someone goes in to review the note, the history, will see that you answered no, because you updated it to be. But if you include mistaken entries, the previous answer, yes, is hidden in the background, okay? So you're updating the information, it's as an error, mistaken entry. Okay, different from that is an addendum, the next button. Where I click the note that I'm working on, so it's blue, an addendum. An addendum means if previously said it was yes, I change it. Any answers that I previously made, such as stress management and joy, an addendum, you change what's in the past. You can't change, you just add, addendum, add additional things. So an addendum is adding information. Save it. There for Wonder Woman. Okay. In addition to an addendum, what happens if on your note and you realize, oh my goodness, I need to write this on Wonder Woman. I meant to write it on Betty Boop. If you have an error in charting, you can take the note and flag the entire note as error in charting. If you tag it as an error in charting, say I wrote it from the wrong account, it will only be visible on this screen if you choose to include mistaken entries. Okay, you can see, there were two mistaken entries today, one by the behavioral tech and one by the nurse. Okay, and we talked about all the data. If you need to print any of these, simply select what you want and then on your print button. Okay, you can select the printed note, the new note, or the list. Okay, now that we've talked about notes, there are triggers, and I briefly touched on this, but I do want you to know there will be times when you will do a note because of something else that happened. So on your mission assessment, it documents certain missions on your patient. It requires that you do additional documentation, which appear in triggers. Okay, this is great writing this note. This is really great. Wonder Woman. But what have a session and you have many people in your session and you don't want to do too much charting. Go to your blue navigator and take in group. And head and add a group note. This isn't a group note just for Wonder Woman. Let's select the group note and is it everybody on the unit who's acting for this group, or is it just people I'm assigned to for my clinical assignment? Okay, I've got Betty Boop, I've got Sahara, and Tinkerbell, and Donald Duck. Click on these and it builds your group list here. If you click on someone that you don't want to be in your list, click on that and remove them from there. Once you've got your list of all the members of your group for today, click Next. As long as you are highlighted blue, gray, the group note, anything you document will appear on all of their notes. At this point, yes, they attended, and the focus of the group was Educational materials were given to everyone. Everyone got the papers. Okay, everybody did a solution focus group and cognitive. Now, let's keep down on this. So you've just charted these things on Betty's chart, Scarlett's chart, Tinker's chart, and Donald's chart. But now, all of a sudden, Betty acts out. And when Betty acts out, you want to say, Betty cried, or Betty whatever. Scarlett's reaction was different. Scarlett's reaction that Scarlett was very peaceful and interacted. So Scarlett interacted peacefully. So now, anything document while you've got the highlighted name will be on just the chart. Anything you document while group is highlighted will be on everyone's chart. Okay? Once you're done, you go ahead and either save the note, or in this case, I'm gonna back out of it because I don't want to save it. Okay. And you're done with group notes. What I said earlier, maybe not too many tabs open at once. So let's close a few tabs. You don't have to. It's just a good practice. Okay. In group notes, I talk about safety. Safety. Your 15 minutes checks. Couple ways to document them. If you are one-on-one with Wonder Woman, please go to your clinical documentation button and access Accountability Flow Sheet. To access Accountability Flow Sheet, it will bring up a time grid. Let's say I select 12:30 time period and add that she was lying in her room. Save. 12:45, I add that he was sitting in her room. So on and so forth. At 12:45, you document that she was sitting in her room, and 12:45 and 30 seconds, you realize, oh, she's not sitting, she's back to lying down. Click the update button. It says she wasn't sitting. She's down in her room. Save. And captured the updated information that she was lying. You look back at your documentation and say, wait a minute, that wasn't Wonder Woman, that was Betty Boop I was thinking of. You want to just completely flag it as a mistaken entry. Select the item as a mistaken entry, your mistaken entry button, and say, I got from the wrong page of the chart. Hit save. Okay. Well, again, this is awesome to chart if you're one-on-one with Wonder Woman. If you're sitting with the proverbial clipboard and the task of looking at everyone, this would be a tedious process. So instead, let's do an accountability flow sheet for a group. Once you use the Google-like search and type in accountability, you can hit electronic medical records and go into your clinical documentation and to your accountability flow sheet. Okay, ways to access it. Now, do you want to chart on just the patients who you assigned yourself in your clinical assignment? Because that's what we're doing now with WorkList. If we do nursing station and our refresh button, it will be everyone on our unit. If you need to backdate it and say, like, this happened yesterday, you can go up and change the date or the time. It will capture all charting times. And start with Tinkerbell. It's now 12:45, and Tinkerbell is with a physician in the room. So it's prompting me to capture the documentation. Boop is eating. He's eating in the day room. Your information. If at any point during this process you realize you made a mistake, you have to go back to this and change it to change data element. So this is one of the most important things I'm going to tell you today. Although you just did that data entry, it's not saved. This accountability flow sheet for all your patients is not saved until you come down and hit this green save button. Okay? You got to hit that green save button in order to save it for all your patients. Okay? Got save button. You are charting on all your patients. Let's say they're all in the day room and you're all socializing and interacting. Time is passing, and you need the 12:45 window anymore. You need the 1 o'clock window. You can always click on this refresh button, and click on the refresh button, touches forward, and the 1 o'clock time button will appear. Okay, back to Wonder Woman. I've got multiple tabs open. Clinical documentation where we do our work. And if you want to document meal acceptance on Wonder Woman, click clinical documentation, meal acceptance. Click here, you have the ability to document. And let's say you had lunch, click on today's date, lunch, and add your information. I'm going to say at lunch she ate 50% of her lunch, and she had half a can of a shake, and she had a bit of tea. Go ahead and add it. And with dates to include the 50% of her lunch, the half can of a shake, and the 100 ml of a liquid. If you realize, I documented, I tried to encourage her to eat, or anything else, you can highlight in blue and hit notes. When notes, if you have the authority, it will allow you to document a note here. If you need to see any historic information, let's see, this person has a note on the 26th. Let's look at the history and see what's going on. And here we can see nothing eaten for breakfast, 240 ml of a shake, including bacon entries. No bacon entries, so we're good. So there you would view any type of history. And try meal acceptance for a woman. But what you're sitting dining hall, and you need to document on everyone on your nursing unit or on everyone who's in your clinical assignment for the shift. One, you can click or type here, meal, and then you can go right in and click on meal acceptance history. Show you a trick here. I type meal, and this meal has a little head. That's going to take me to Wonder Woman because Woman's chart is open. That's what the little head. It's a clipboard. That is going to take me to a place where I can document on everybody. In this case, you can toggle between people who have meal tracking or everybody. Once you toggle your button, you got to hit the blue search button in order to refresh your screen. If there's an error on any screen, it's going to turn red. I say, I need to say wing on, hit the blue search button to refresh. Here you see what we documented previously on Wonder Woman. Let's go ahead and say that Betty Boop had her lunch too. So cover and turn Betty Blue's line blue by clicking on it. Hit add. And for lunch, Betty had 75%, and she had a can of soda. Updates to show that information. Okay, so there's Betty's 75%. If you need to add a note on Betty, and if you have the authority, you can add a note. If not, look to who's sitting next to Betty. And in this case, it's Lisa Simpson. So let's go ahead and add. Lisa also had 7% of her lunch, and go ahead and save it. Okay, the only thing I'm going to tell you from this screen is if you do an error in charting, like the wrong Pearson 8X quantity, you can't correct it from this screen. Instead, you have to go into their chart to correct it. So if Betty Boop, I had that 75% and that 75% wasn't correct, instead I need to open up her chart. To open up charts, I can go to my EMR work list, open up her chart, or you don't want to go to the EMR work list. If you're more interested in typing, you can access, let's close it out and show you another way. You can go to Blue Navigator, and the same way we use this search to search things like clinical assignment or ability or vital sign or anything, you also hit at, and it's going to show on Betty Boop or other residents or patients who have that last name. And you can search that way by last name or by first name. Next, talk about our flow sheet. Go to your clinical documentation, and I'm going to flip to Oneman's tab. Go to the work button for clinical documentation, and scroll down to clinical flow sheet. Flow sheet is a window into certain elements for your patient. In this case, my window defaults to 9/24 to 9/28. If I want to change that date range, I can easily click the blue search button and change the date range. It's going to show me vitals, meals, and eyes and nose if that's appropriate for your patient. Can't document from the flow sheet, you're just viewing the data. Next, clinical summary. Go to your clinical documentation button and then drop it down and click on summary. When you get to your summary, you see that the summary is a really, you can't chart here, you're just looking, and you're looking at the patient's chart. And the patient's chart is divided by categories. Here are the categories down the side: allergies, assessments, profile, diagnosis, education, and so on. And you can scroll through the categories and click at category float to the surface, or see all categories. So this is a great way to see your patient's chart. See for a selected date range and time range by R number, which means it's their lifetime. So a frequent flyer and they were inpatient 2 months ago, you can see data from 2 months ago, a different episode, or by count number, which is just this episode of care. And it's great to look at this, but there's going to be a time when you say, there's stuff on this tree that I don't care about. So, as you build yourself a custom view. Come here, click cogwheel to configure your view. Okay, so you want to add a view. We want to add and configure a view. What do we call it? So let's call it a mental health tech view. And I just want to see the last, not 7 days, I want to see 3 days of data. And I'm not going to default it as my view. Allergies. I want to see their diagnosis. I want to see, what else? Notes. Can you say something like you want to see notes? Do you want one's notes? Or just want to see the notes done by behavioral health techs and the nurses maybe? Any notes you specifically want, templates, anything you want to see. Let's add vital signs. And remember, we add something big like vital signs. Do you want to see all vital signs, or do you just want to see blood pressure? I'm happy what your view will have. You can sit. If not, you can add other data elements. If you're happy with what you have, but you don't like the order, drag and drop to make it the order you want. Go ahead and save it. Now we'll save it this MHT view. Now when you click on that view, the information that you're interested shows for the time period you want, which I think we said the last 3 days. So that's a super cool way to let the chart show you only what you need to see. Okay? Only what you need to see. Okay. As we go through our charting, I just want to review. You multiple tabs open, or you can close tabs as you work. The most common errors is that people become overzealous while using tabs and end up closing their work list tab. And then just looking at the message board. It happens, you know what to do. Search for it through your electronic medical record, your clinical documentation, and on your EMR work list. Actually, I think it's under work list. It would make sense that work list is under the word work list, and click and open your work list. If it's easier for you, simply go to the magnifying glass and say, I want my work list. You access it like that. But someone's going to accidentally close that, so you can be prepared to show them how to access their EMR work list. Okay? The last thing I'm going to show you is configuring favorites as you work. Remember, we already set this up, so you have the ability to say, these are the buttons I most likely go to, so you won't get jammed up with quite many buttons, because this is a lot of buttons. So if you do set up your favorites here, you can say, just bring me to my vitals. Favorite, to my accountability flow sheet. And configuring, doing things like this is really going to help you chart a little bit quicker, which will save you time, that additional time you can spend with your patients. Okay, at this point, I'd like to close my tab and remind you, whenever you are done with session of documentation, know that your patient's medical record is precious in so many ways, and we need to maintain their security, their confidentiality of their medical records. So please don't walk away from your device with it open. Instead, every time you are done, please remember to hit this button and sign off the system. Okay. I want to thank you for this hour of your time. I appreciate it, and I wish you all the best as you care for patients. Thank you much, and you be well.